You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Kevin Law, and as chair, I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the New York State Urban Development Corporation, doing business as Empire State Development for this Thursday, November 16th, 2023. Any staff members joining us on the phone today, please mute your phones and then unmute them when your agenda item is up. The public was given an opportunity to attend our meeting today. I believe we have some members from the public joining us today. The public was also given an opportunity to comment on agenda items by submitting written comments by noon yesterday. As of noon yesterday, we did not receive any written comments on any of the agenda items for today. The directors, as always, have been provided the written materials in advance of today's meeting, and of course are free to ask questions at any time. I'd ask if any directors have any potential or perceived conflicts with any of the agenda items on the schedule today. Seeing none, we don't have to worry about that. Before we get to our first item, I'd like to go around the room and have the people at the table introduce themselves, and I'll start with my left with Hope Knight.
Hope Knight, President, CEO of Empire State Development.
Benson Martin, Designee, DFS.
Amber Howell, Vice President and Director of the Office of Strategic Workforce Development.
Goldie Wexel, Acting Counsel to ESD.
Felisa Hackeiser, Director of Compliance.
Ray Orlando, Chief Financial Officer.
Kathleen Mize, Deputy Chief Financial Officer, ESD.
Matt Bray, Treasurer.
I'm Brian Lozano, Senior Director of Strategic Initiatives.
Simone Bethune, Senior Project Manager, Loans and Grants.
Joe Taswell, New York City Regional Director, ESD.
Jason Clark, Division of Minority and Women Business Development.
Noah Raymond, Chief of Staff.
John Wong, Board Member.
Great. Thank you. Well, thank you all. And we have staff and some program managers on the sides and some members of the public. I'll recognize a quorum, and we will get right to the agenda. First item being the approval of the minutes of the October 19th, 2023 Directors Meeting. I will move them. John seconds them. Any comments, revisions, additions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. I'll now hand it over to Hope Knight for her President's report.
Thank you, Kevin, and good morning, directors. Things have been very busy here at ESD. Earlier this week, I attended the 13th Annual MWBE Forum in Albany. How many people did we have, Jason?
We had just over 950.
So that's like a record. This event is always a celebration of our diverse network of minority and women-owned businesses across the state. This year, we had even more to celebrate. Governor Hochul announced that our statewide utilization rate rose to a record high of 32.3%. For 3 years running, New York State has achieved the highest rate in the nation. That represents nearly $3 billion in state contracts and more than $29 billion in state contracts awarded to MWBEs since 2011. Equally impressive, Governor Hochul announced that we successfully cleared the MWBE certification backlog. This marks the first time in decades that our division is operating without a buildup of applications.
That's great news.
Yeah. Today, businesses applying for certification can expect a decision in as little as 90 to 120 days. These are tremendous accomplishments, and I'd like to thank and congratulate the division's EVP, Jason Clark, our CFO, Ray Orlando, who helped lead the team temporarily before Jason came on board in June.
Team effort.
And also Ray Salabarios, SVP of Small Business, who pitched in, and the entire DMWBD team for their hard work and dedication for achieving these goals. Also this week, Governor Hochul announced that more than $57 million was awarded to support 238 projects through round 13 of the Regional Council Initiative. Over $46 million in funding is supporting projects that align with each region's strategic goals. On Long Island, for example, a $3 million grant was awarded to support the National Offshore Wind Training Center in Suffolk County. This round also included 2 new micro programs designed to support craft beverage manufacturers and nonprofit organizations. Over $9.7 million was awarded to 170 projects. One of the craft beverage awardees was Birdhouse Brewing Company in the Finger Lakes. The company was awarded a $50,000 grant to upgrade its brewing system. And the Inspired Project in the Bronx was awarded $100,000 to support its special education and workforce development programs. These new programs show how our regional approach to economic development continues to evolve, but also remains rooted in the goal of engaging community stakeholders to advance and support local priorities. I'd also like to share an update on the Long Island Investment Fund, whose guidelines were approved by the board last year. Yesterday, Governor Hochul announced plans to expand the fund's criteria to include transformative developments that further the governor's housing priorities, in addition to promoting economic growth and community revitalization on Long Island. The updated guidelines can be found on ESD's website. With Thanksgiving now just a week away, I'd like to take a moment and offer some of my own thanks. I'm grateful for Governor Kathy Hochul, who entrusted me to lead this agency 2 years ago, and I'm proud to have had an opportunity to affect real change for New Yorkers throughout the state. I'm thankful to you, the directors, your time, your guidance, and your service to New York State. And I'm especially grateful to the team here at ESD. We are far from the largest state agency, but we are unquestionably one of the most involved. We have been brought into the fold on many different projects, some beyond the scope of our traditional portfolio, because we deliver results. Your hard work does not go unnoticed, and on behalf of all New Yorkers, thank you for all that you do every day. I hope that you all can reconnect with family and friends and enjoy some time off during the holidays. Also want to remind you to support your local businesses on Small Business Saturday. And again, wishing you all a happy Thanksgiving, and that concludes my report.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Hope. And yes, I think it was great, that Governor Hochul put in the resources in the budget to allow you guys to address the MWB backlog. No one probably knows, but I know it's now been successful because I'm not getting any more phone calls. My first year, I think almost every complaint I got about ESD was, I've been waiting around for my MWB certification or my recertification, and I'm not getting those phone calls anymore, so great job. Great job. But again, it wouldn't have happened unless the governor put the money in the budget to give you guys the resources to do it, and the state legislature supported that.
That's right.
So that is good news, and so congratulations on that. Does anybody have any questions for Hope on the rest of her report? All right. Well, thank you, Hope. We will continue with the agenda with the corporate actions. And we'll go to Brian Lozano. He's our Senior Director of Strategic Initiatives with an item for us to approve.
Thank you. The directors are asked to approve the signing of the notice of award for ESD to receive $10.9 million in funds under the U.S. Department of Treasury State Small Business Credit Initiative Technical Assistance Grant Program. ESD was designated the state's agency to apply, receive, and administer the program by Governor Hochul. ESD will fund programs for the provision of legal, accounting, and financial advisory services intended to help socially and economically disadvantaged individual or SETI-owned businesses and very small businesses, VSB, access our 10 approved SSBCI programs. For background, on March 11, 2021, President Biden signed the American Rescue Plan Act, which allocated $9.5 billion to SSBCI and $500 million for technical assistance funding through the U.S. Department of Treasury. SSBCI funds programs for small businesses, including SETI-owned businesses and VSBs, to recover from the economic effects of COVID-19. In August 2022, Treasury approved New York State's final application for SSBCI, and the ESD board provided approval to execute the allocation agreement for $501.6 million for 10 approved debt and equity programs. The Technical Assistance Grant Program under SSBCI is intended to fund the provision of legal, accounting, and financial advisory services for SETI-owned businesses and VSBs to access SSBCI programs. In October 2022, ESD applied for the Technical Assistance Grant Program, and our final application was approved in October of this year. New York State is expected to receive a total of $10,912,188 for the program. Funded by Treasury will be provided in 3 identical tranches of $3.6 million, $3.6 million, $3.7 million during the 5 years of the program. As approved by Treasury, ESD's Technical Assistance Program will be administered through 5 programs managed by the following ESD teams: Capital Access, Entrepreneur Development, the Division of Science, Technology, and Innovation, or NISTAR, and New York Ventures. The overall program is designed to ensure that we serve as many small businesses as possible around the state with technical assistance over the range of SSBCI programs we offer. $10 million of the $10.9 million grant will be provided to programs on an equal basis over the 5 years, and the remaining funds will be utilized by ESD on the implementation of the Technical Assistance Program and performance monitoring of the providers. The approval requested today is for ESD to sign the Notice of Award to receive the funds from Treasury. We will be returning to the board for individual approval of the programs as we begin standing up the 5 TA programs, which are all summarized in your materials. I'm happy to answer any questions or go into further detail. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Brian. Again, so these are all federal funds.
Correct.
And when you award specific projects, they'll come back to the board.
Correct.
Got it. Good. You know, Ray, I don't know if off the top of your head you know, and if you don't, maybe report back at the next meeting. What percentage of the monies that ESD eventually, gives out or assists businesses with comes from the federal government, and I know there are other programs that, and what comes from the state? Is it a significant percent? Is it like over 30%? Or
It depends.
Each year?
And also by program, so probably best if I come back.
Yeah, that's fine, and just like a pie chart type of thing.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just curious as how many of the dollars that we administer come from the feds.
Sure.
All right, thanks. All right. So, Brian, thank you for the report. Any questions for Brian? We have not received any comments from the public on this matter. I will move this. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you. So next up, and not for the first time, a spotlight presentation. We have Amber Rangel, our VP and Director of Workforce Development, who will give this month's spotlight presentation.
Thank you. Glad to be back. Obviously, there's a lot of interest in workforce development, which is why I'm here again. Happy to give an update. Our office was founded with some key priorities: industry-driven workforce development, making sure that industry is at the table and very participatory in any of the training programs that we're funding. The strategic focus on good jobs in the state's high-growth industry sectors has a definition that was built on the Georgetown University's Center on Education and the Workforce and the Center for American Progress's Good Jobs definitions. And we define that as skilled jobs that minimally pay a living wage for workers and support themselves in the modern economy, allow for career and salary growth, provide economic security, and remove the need for public assistance. This requirement is something that we really doubled down on. We really are focused on living wage work that has the pathway for family-sustaining wages. And that is the case in the state's high-growth industry sectors that we're focused on. The other kind of dual mandate, in addition to being industry-driven, workforce development for good jobs, is serving historically marginalized communities. The way that we're able to do that is through wraparound services, childcare, transportation, participant stipends, actually paid training. We found that free training isn't enough anymore. If you're already working multiple low-wage jobs, you don't have the time to take off to get reskilled. So paid training is actually quite important. And improved data collection, impact tracking across programs is also very important to the legislature, to the governor, and so we're really happy to be able to start collecting data on all the programs that we're funding and be able to report. We had an initial first-year report back out in April, and last year we had the legislature passed a requirement for our annual reporting. So our first annual report required by the legislature is due in February. So while we have had 4 rounds of funding out the door, we have just a smaller portion of that who have data to show and outcomes that we'll be able to report in February 1. That'll be due. So we're working on that now with our team.
Is there an income limit on the paid training? Is it based on income or just anybody's interest in being retrained?
It depends per program, but there's, it's generally not an income limit. Some of the office's core functions that we established in our last round, in our annual report, was to drive innovative, high-impact workforce programming through our grants, establish strategic priorities for workforce investment, that's the target industries and the target occupations, and then connecting the dots across the region's industries and agencies, working with the regional economic development councils and local stakeholders and across the state agencies with SUNY, CUNY, DOL, and others. Kevin, you asked for some other workforce development programs at ESD. So there's here, the regional council has the capital funds. There's the New York Entertainment Workforce Diversity Grant Program. And there's the Reimagine Workforce Preparation Grant Program, which is, that's, if you're asking, that's a federally funded program. And then we have the tax incentive. These are not run by our office, but these are just some of the other items that cover workforce development at ESD. Of the $350 million investment that the governor made in the 23 budget, our office is just a slice of that, $150 million, and this is just an overview of some of that other funding. One thing that our office is also tasked to do is track data and outcomes for all of these programs. So my data metrics manager, Kimberly Schultz, is here. She's been working with across the agencies to collect this data. Many of these programs are just getting up and running, but this is also something that our office is tasked to do. No small feat.
If you could send that chart to me, that's the one I usually get confused on.
Yep.
Because I always was confused as to what Department of Labor did and what we did. And as you said, we seem to do a good majority. And historically, we weren't always doing workforce training. It was historically in labor, right?
Yep.
And now we're doing a lot of it. And I didn't realize so many other state agencies were doing components of it. Do they take lessons from us because we're doing good, or do we exchange?
So one thing, we have a really great relationship with the Department of Labor that we're really proud of, and the Department of Health and SUNY and CUNY, and we're trying to help folks understand this is where we're operating, this is where DOL is, so I mentioned the wage threshold. DOL doesn't have a wage threshold. Like there's a high demand for low wage work in our economy. That's just the reality. DOL programs are going to continue to support that, and we can work with them on that as well. And so they're not quite taking notes from us, but they understand where our lane is here, and we work with them when we can. But the Department of Health, so I will note here, because my next slide is the statewide high growth target industries. The Department of Health has significant funding, as you can see, for healthcare. So healthcare is not a priority in our funding because the governor's already designated a significant amount of funding to the Department of Health for healthcare programs.
Got it.
And SUNY also has SUNY and CUNY also have healthcare related programs as well. Our target industries align with ESD's priorities: advanced manufacturing materials, biotech and life science, clean tech and renewable energy. Construction is one that isn't, is a captive industry, is not something that ESD focuses on attracting, but it obviously serves all of ESD's investments in economic development, and it has a shortage of workers. And electronics, optics, photonics, and imaging, that's where the semiconductor industry is. So we've made many investments in that area, as well as film and television and software and digital media. Many of our projects in New York City actually are software and digital media focused. So two grant programs. One is the capital grant, $35 million for awards from $100,000 to $3 million. To date, we've given out $11 million to 11 projects, over $11 million to 11 projects. One thing that is different, and we talked to a lot of the regional councils about this funding, is we'll award up to 50% of these projects up to $3 million. The regional councils don't have an upper threshold on capital projects. They do have, their percentage is lower, though. It's at 20%. So we do talk to people inquiring about capital projects, whether REDC funding is best or our funding is best. So that's a conversation that we're always happy to have with them and make sure they understand.
Can we layer them, or they can't,
So we're not, ESD, we could, although we're not looking to fund more than 50% of a capital project, right?
Got it.
So it'd have to be a very large capital project that would have both funding from our office and the regional councils. The operating grant is the bulk of the awards and funding that's out the door to date. We can cover up to 75% of total project costs, and these are the grants that cover the curriculum development, the trainers, the wraparound services, job placement services, the training itself, and the stipends. The operating grants are up to $1 million, and I'll say we have, over $2 million or $23 million has been awarded to 38 projects, but these projects range from $50,000, from $52,000 to $1 million. So there really is a need in that couple $100,000 range as well that can have a really good impact. And the Capacity Building Award is a data and metrics-driven award for successful existing programs to help them expand capacity on projects that we want to see grow. There are also some carve-outs in this funding stream. There's $5 million for SUNY and CUNY mental health programs. There was $5 million for the REDCs and $10 million for New York State Youth Build programs, which we have funded to date. The Youth Build programs, we work closely with their organization. This is a construction program for at-risk youth, and they're aware of our funding stream, and they advocated for it to be in the budget. So we work with them to get other programs. There's about 18 across the state, so we'll be funding more of those in the future as well. These are some of the baseline metrics that we've been collecting: enrollment and completion rates, job placement rates, and tracking. There are some voluntary data such as demographics, which we do feel are very important. And the placement rates and the retention rates over longer terms are more challenging to collect, as keeping track of people after they've left your training and placed in jobs is a little more challenging. But this is another reason why we're working closely with the Department of Labor. We're using their one-stop operating system, their data system, for tracking. So we have a secure system where our grantees can track individual outcomes for their participants. So that's one way that we're partnering with DOL. To date, as I mentioned, we've awarded over $36 million through 53 grants that actually go to 41 programs. We have a handful of programs that we're funding both capital and operating grants for the same program. So that's why we have 41 programs, but 53 actual grants. This is training over 11,000 New Yorkers, partnering with over 400 businesses. We're really excited about some of these projects, and I'll just flip through quickly some of the projects by regions, and I'll just highlight a few of them. in Central New York, I'll kind of speak to the bulk of the ones in Central New York are what we're calling Micron adjacent. So before, we got any funds out the door for the investment that we set aside for Micron, our office was already getting applications for programs that knew that they were going to have to scale up. So Syracuse Build is one of those, which is a construction program. It's a pre-apprenticeship program that gets historically marginalized communities prepared to enter the DOL registered apprenticeship in the construction space. So that's one that we're really excited to help scale and grow because the unions in the Central New York need to practically double their workforce in the next 10 years. A couple on Long Island, you mentioned, Commissioner Early mentioned the investment in Suffolk County that was just recently announced with the offshore wind. We're also investing in a adjacent project for advanced manufacturing. The Suffolk County Department of Labor has a $5 million award through the U.S. Navy to rebuild their submarine fleet. They identified that the workforce pipeline for the industrial-based suppliers, there was a huge shortage. So they're directing $5 million for training purposes, and we're funding wraparound services and some capital projects for that. So that's a project that we're really excited about.
Right. In the beginning, I was also getting confused because with the governor's big push for offshore wind, every time we see acronyms for that, it's OSW. And then your department is OSWD. I keep on thinking.
I brought that up when so the office was named when I started. I brought that up. I said, just so everybody knows, like OSW is offshore wind. So
you're OSWD.
Yes.
Right. And then with OSWD's assistance for OSW companies, are we also partnering with NYSERDA, and aren't some of the wind companies themselves providing pots of money for additional workforce training?
They are. So we
does that leverage our money?
Yeah. So actually, I didn't mention this earlier. Our funds are not for companies directly. They're for training and education providers. So really focusing on regional and sector-based strategies. So we could be funding projects that NYSERDA is also funding. I believe the United Way of Long Island is an example that they're also funding. I have to double check, but there are some projects that we have funded that are also getting NYSERDA funding. We have a great relationship with NYSERDA. I'm on the phone with them making sure that our budgets don't overlap, so we want to clearly understand what NYSERDA is funding and what ESD is funding and making sure that they're not getting,
So we're agnostic as to who we're training. We're not training for specific companies, but NYSERDA might be partnering directly with the companies who received awards to build the projects.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. As I mentioned, a lot of the projects in New York City are, IT-based. When you talk about living wages in New York, that's around $25. So to get someone with a certification without a degree, the quickest pathway is generally IT. So we're excited to have so many great programs and projects in New York City for the tech field as well. I will just say that the Western New York projects was this bulk of Western New York projects were part of the Western New York Coalition, co-led by the regional office and some regional stakeholders, leveraging a large amount of private foundation funding through the Wilson Foundation. So that's one of the reasons I feel like I need to explain why there's such a large number of Western New York projects for the region. Our one-year progress report that was released in April is available on our website and via the QR code here. But we're really excited as we grow our team the year ahead, establishing a resource hub of best practices on our website, continuing to coordinate with other agencies and report on data, and also work closely with the REDCs and regional stakeholders. We're going to be, basically traveling around the state, meeting with regional stakeholders, trying to identify existing shortages. We've been taking a lot of incoming applications, for funding, we know that we're asking people to do things differently, right? We're asking for businesses to be more at the table. And we're asking them to serve maybe populations that they haven't before. So partnering with with nonprofit organizations and social services organizations, maybe something new for some training and education providers. So we know that there's a lot of more of that work that needs to be done on the ground. So our team will be traveling across the state to do that in the coming year. So we're excited about that work. All of our information's online. We have another deadline coming up December 29th, and hopefully we'll have a couple more awards out in the coming months as well. Any questions? Good.
All right, well, Amber, another terrific presentation, very informative and educational. I know we can't believe everything we read in the paper. We all know that. I saw an article about 2 weeks ago that, I don't know, maybe you and Hope were before a legislative hearing and somebody was raising some issues. Were they, was the article, one, accurate, or two, if any issues were raised, are we taking steps to address the concerns that may have been raised by the legislature?
Well, I think the legislation.
Or am I mixing up?
No, I think what you're referring to, I had a hearing that was focused on workforce development, and there was this notion that we weren't getting the money out fast enough. But we just launched the office a year ago, and we've had many rounds of funding, and the funding that was provided for us was for a 5-year period. So we've got a lot of runway to.
Got it.
So 36 million out of 150, I think we're right on target.
Right.
And I will say, like I'll say it again.
Oh, if you looked at like a 5-year spread.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
sure.
right.
So we're asking people to do things differently, right? So we've been taking a lot of incoming. We're funding, a lot of the stuff that's already on the shelf, but there's more that needs to be developed. We need to be working with community partners, with training and education providers, and industry across the state. So for stuff that's kind of on the shelf, I feel like we've funded a lot of it, and we're going to continue to work across the state. But I do believe that we're on target, and we are following up with the legislature to have more detailed conversations about what we're doing.
Great to know. Thanks for the clarification. I'm a believer. I've served on many boards, and I always direct staff, don't rush. There's always people who want you to go fast. I'd rather us take our time and do it right than do it quickly and then have Monday morning quarterbacks and second guessers saying, no, you screwed this up or you messed that up. So it sounds like you guys are doing exactly the right thing. And thanks for the update. Anybody else have any questions for Amber? We're going to see you a couple more times throughout the agenda, I think.
Oh, yes.
Good job, Amber. Thank you very much. So we're going to continue now with the agenda, and we're going to go to our regional projects section, and we'll start in Western New York with Erin Carrero, Deputy Director for the Western New York Regional Office.
Good morning, Chairman. The directors are requested to approve a $1,795,000 grant to Escala 1 East Avenue LLC for the restoration and renovation of the Lockport U.S. Post Office building built in 1902, a project from round 3 of the Downtown Revitalization Initiative for the city of Lockport. In 1992, the United States Postal Service divested itself of a 31,600 square foot historic post office designed and built in 1902 at 1 East Avenue in downtown Lockport. The historic former U.S. Post Office building has had several owners that have attempted to convert and market it as a multi-tenant building for office and retail uses. A proper renovation and repositioning of the building was beset by several challenges that rendered it cost prohibitive or too risky to undertake. Escala took on the challenge and submitted the project as part of round 3 of DRI for Lockport. It was selected by the Lockport Local Planning Committee in April 2019. Escala 1, a subsidiary of Escala Development Corporation, is a privately owned affiliate created to take ownership of the property and undertake the renovation process of the subject project. Escala was founded in 1988 by Paul B. Escala as a full-service commercial real estate development company active throughout Western New York. The company's interest in redeveloping distinct properties suffering from neglect and significant deferred maintenance has created a specialized market niche for Escala, which it finds particularly fulfilling. The finished project resulted in boutique space on the first floor now home to Big Ditch Brewery's second location as of an announcement of yesterday, and 7 office spaces on the second and third floors. The renovation was comprised of the restoration of the building exterior, including historic replacement windows, comprehensive restoration of the building's interior, architectural features, installation of an elevator connecting each of the 4 floors, the modernization of the building's mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire safety systems. Through a combination of their adaptive reuse expertise and working closely with the National Park Service and the State Historic Preservation Office, Escalo has successfully maintained the historic character of the building while transitioning it to a functional space positioned to act as a cornerstone property in the redevelopment of Lockport Central Business District. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Erin? No, no comments from the public either. I will move it. Hope seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Erin. We'll move over to the Finger Lakes, where we have 2 items with 2 different presenters. First up is Allison Stark, our Senior Project Manager for Industry Development. Allison?
Thank you, Chairman Law, and good morning, directors. Today you'll be requested to approve a $12.7 million capital grant to the Monroe County Industrial Development Agency, also known as COMIDA. This is a Fast New York grant, and funding will come from the New York Works Economic Development Fund. The grant supports this $28 million project by assisting with costs for construction, infrastructure, and the purchase of equipment for upgrades and improvements to the electrical infrastructure at 1900 Tibor Road in the town of Webster. This site will eventually house Fairlight LLC's Northeast Dairy Processing Facility, which anticipates $650 million in investment and the creation of 250 new jobs. In addition to supporting Fairlight, this infrastructure upgrade is the foundation needed to entice companies to other sites in the area while further driving economic growth in Webster. A partial grant in the amount of $7.3 million was previously approved by the directors in June for planning, administration, and design costs. Now that the seeker has been completed, the project is being brought back to the board for approval of the remaining grant award of $12.7 million. Just to be clear, this was a $20 million total grant, and it was parsed out into 2 different approvals just because in order to have the whole grant approved, we would have to have the seeker done first. So in order to get everything moving at the site, we decided to go to the board earlier with a smaller amount that covered just the administration, and now we're coming back to the remaining portion of the full grant. As you know, the Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Plan focuses on growing and strengthening the agriculture and food production industry. So this project will really align nicely and help advance the plan's efforts. And with that, I can take any questions.
Good. Thank you, Allison. Any questions? None. No comments from the public on this. I will move it. John Wong seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Allison. Next up, Laura Fox O'Sullivan, Regional Director of ESD's Finger Lakes Region.
Thank you, Chairman Law. Good morning, everyone. We're asking the directors to approve a $620,000 capital grant to Vigneri Chocolate, Inc. from the Regional Council Capital Fund Round 7. The total project cost is $4.6 million and has been funded through company equity and bank financing. Vigneri will be creating 50 new jobs. The grant supports the acquisition of a new building, complete renovation and machinery and equipment purchases for the Vigneri Chocolate Inc. facility located in Rochester. The company has renovated a 48,000 square foot facility to expand its manufacturing operation and private label production on East Main Street in Rochester. The purpose is to expand production and distribution capabilities to reach mainstream brand awareness. Are there any questions?
I have none. Any questions? No. No comments from the public on this one either. I will move it. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Let's move over to Central New York. We have 3 items, 2 presenters, and 3 separate votes. First up is Zachary Becker, Economic Development Program Specialist.
Thank you, and good morning. Today you are being asked to approve a Round 7 Regional Council Capital Fund grant of $1,500,000 to be used as a portion of the cost of construction and renovations of the formerly vacant Post-Standard newspaper building located at 101 North Salina Street in the city of Syracuse in Onondaga County. 101 North Salina Street LLC is a single-purpose entity that was formed in 2017 for the purpose of owning the property at 101 North Salina Street in Syracuse. VIP Structures is the beneficiary of the project and primary tenant of the Post building. It was established in 1975 with the vision of integrating the best elements of design and construction, delivering construction projects via design build for decades. VIP provides all design, general construction, and construction management services in-house and under one point of contact. The total budget for the project is $20,333,250 for the renovations of the 4 commercial tenants. ESD participation in the project will be $1,500,000, which represents 7.4% of project costs. The project is consistent with CNY Regional Economic Development Council's plan to revitalize the region's urban core and to create jobs. I have a second project. The directors are also being asked to approve Regional Council Capital Fund grant of $400,000 to be used as a portion of the cost of renovations to repurpose existing manufacturing space from digital printing paper conversion to silicon coating operations at Felix Scholler, North America's current facility in the village of Pulaski in Oswego County. The company is committed to retaining 100 existing employees and hiring an additional 29 full-time employees. Founded in 1895 as a paper mill in Osnabrück, Germany, the family-owned Felix Scholler supplies more than 1,900 customers in 65 countries. Over 5 generations, the company has transitioned from a former photo-based paper producer to a global manufacturer of specialty papers. Felix's Pulaski, New York location has been in its current location since 1960. With annual sales of more than $100 million, Felix Scholler North America is among the largest private companies in Oswego County. The total budget for the project is $2,619,395 for renovations to repurpose existing manufacturing space. ESD participation in the project will be $400,000, which represents 1.5% of the project costs. The project is consistent with the Central New York Regional Economic Development Council's goals to create jobs in advanced manufacturing. Thank you, and I can take any questions.
Thank you, Zachary. Pulaski, isn't that where they have the amazing salmon fishing?
Yes, the Salmon River runs up there.
Yes, very good. All right. Does anybody have any questions for Zachary on either of these 2 items? No. We have no comments from the public on any of these items. And Deb, we need 2 separate votes? Okay. So for the first item, to 101 North Salina Street, I will move it. Hope seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. For the second one, to the Felix Scholler Capital grant, I will move it. John seconds it. Again, no comments from the public. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Both of those items are approved. Thank you, Zachary. We'll hand it back over to Amber.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Directors. Directors are being requested to approve the release of funding for the Office of Strategic Workforce Development's Pay for Performance Program operating grant to Callahan Management Training Center in the amount of $996,377. The Office of Strategic Workforce Development launched these programs in October 2022 as part of Governor Hochul's $350 million investment, which we just talked about. Callahan Management Training Center, the training arm of the Manufacturers Association of Central New York, also known as MACNY, applied for a pay-for-performance operating grant through round one of the Office of Strategic Workforce Development's grant funding. Based on the recommendation of the office and ESD commissioner, an incentive proposal was signed agreeing to provide $996,337 in funding. The funding will be used to recruit and train individuals into advanced manufacturing positions through a 12-week pre-apprenticeship training program in partnership with Mohawk Valley Community College. The program, called Real Life Rosies, focuses on increasing gender diversity in manufacturing and is marketed to women and people identifying as women, but is not exclusive to any one gender or race. The program has an extensive suite of wraparound services available to participants to ensure they get to and through training, which include career coaching, childcare support, transportation assistance, work attire, housing assistance, substance abuse counseling, access to technology, and participant stipends. Callahan Management Training Center also coordinates with community-based organizations to connect graduates to apprenticeships and employers post-completion. The program will help advance manufacturers in the Mohawk Valley and Central New York fill employment gaps with skilled workers ready to enter into New York State Department of Labor's registered apprenticeship programs and the skilled labor force. We are recommending that the board authorize the release of funds for Callahan Management Training Center to carry out this project. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Related to Micron or totally unrelated to Micron?
We would call this Micron adjacent. So
Micron adjacent.
the Micron just launched a semiconductor apprenticeship program in their Boise location. So this pathway, this pre-apprenticeship pathway, could be a pathway into a registered apprenticeship with Micron as well. Right now, it's serving other manufacturers in Central New York.
Great, great. All right. Any other questions for Amber? No? No comments from the public were received on this item either. I will move it. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Amber. Move over to the Southern Tier. We have Omar Sanders, our Regional Director of the ESD Southern Tier Region.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, Directors. Today, the Directors are requested to authorize the release of funds for the renovation of a 136,000 square foot vacant facility into a multifaceted state-of-the-art beverage manufacturing operation located in the Village of Waverly. The grantee, Best Bev LLC, is a contract manufacturer that was formed in 2021 to provide co-packing, material sourcing, storage, and brand distribution for growing markets in both alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. The facility will include new high-capacity canning lines producing millions of cases a month for co-packing services, which will position the company to expand its operations to include sourcing ingredients, materials, packaging, customized cans, variety packing, and storage. The Best Bev LLC capital project scope consists of renovations, infrastructure and site work, machinery and equipment, furniture, fixtures and equipment, and soft costs. In July of 2022, Best Bev LLC applied for ESD funding through round 12 of the Southern Tier Regional Economic Development Council consolidated funding application process to assist with the construction and renovation phases of the project. An award for a $3,200,000 grant was offered to Best Bev LLC, and the incentive proposal was accepted in March of 2023. The total project cost is $23,865,875, and the company has committed $20,495,875 in equity towards the project with a job commitment of 65 full-time jobs in the region. The project is now complete, and Best Bev LLC has exceeded its job commitment, creating 87 new full-time jobs with a signed 20-year lease with a 10-year option for renewal. The project is consistent with the Southern Tier Region Economic Development Council plan that aims to uplift communities by supporting shovel-ready projects through strategic investments in key tradable sectors. I'm happy to take any questions at this time. Thank you.
Thanks, Omar. 87 jobs. I love when the companies exceed their projections. And one question, did you say candy wine or wine in a can? Both sound dangerous.
I said canning line.
Canning line.
Canning line.
Canning
I'm
line.
sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You saw where my head was at. Any other questions for Omar? No comments from the public. I will move it. John Wong seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Omar. New York City Region, we have Amber again, up for the third time today. That's it. You only get 3 for a nickel.
Third and final.
Okay.
So thank you again. The directors are being requested to approve the release of funding for the Office of Strategic Workforce Development's Pay for Performance Operating Grant Program to Real Stories Teen Filmmaking, Inc., doing business as Real Works, in the amount of $453,900. The Office of Strategic, this is a part of the Office of Strategic Workforce Development's $115 million Pay for Performance Grant Program through an operating grant. RealWorks applied for a Pay for Performance operating grant through round 1 of the Office of Strategic Workforce Development's grant funding. Based on the recommendation of the office, an ESD commissioner incentive proposal was signed agreeing to provide $453,900 in funding. The funding will be used to provide TV and film production-related training programs and wraparound services to improve access and outcomes of training participants. RealWorks will partner with TV and film production unions and studios in New York City to provide training to a broad range of skills applicable to the television and film industry, which is a statewide high-growth targeted industry. Training sessions include mechanic grips, electric, set design, shopcraft, hairstyling, makeup, production, accounting, camera loading, casting, amongst others, as well as participation in career accelerators at several New York City-based production studios. RealWorks will recruit a diverse pool of candidates as the program focuses on improving access to training for underserved communities that have historically been underrepresented in the film and television industry. We're recommending that the board authorize the release of funds for RealWorks to carry out this project. Happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you, Amber. Any questions? Here are none. There are no comments received from the public, so I will move it. Benson seconds. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Amber. Joe Tazwell is up. He's our regional director for our New York City region. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. The directors are requested to approve a regional council capital grant of $1 million to the South Conduit Property Owner, LLC, in connection with the Terminal Logistics Center, a nearly 475,000 square foot multi-tenanted air cargo and storage facility located at JFK International Airport. The project was designated as a New York City Regional Council priority project in round 8 in support of state and regional strategies to support global export, tradable sectors, and the region's distribution network. South Conduit Property Owner LLC is an affiliate of Triangle Equities, a highly regarded real estate development firm that was formed in 1986. Triangle Equities owns and manages over 1 million square feet of residential and commercial real estate, spanning retail, office, and industrial assets. The project has a total cost of approximately $137.7 million and includes over 300,000 square feet of air cargo and air service space and over 173,000 square feet of small business storage. This 5-story facility is reportedly the first vertical air cargo development on the East Coast. The project is expected to create more than 400 new jobs. The first 2 floors will be occupied by Doe & Company, an international catering and restaurant firm, which has an airline industry catering division. The upper floors will be occupied by Safeguard, a premier self-storage company. ESD assistance was important in inducing private investment in the project. The developer is also seeking assistance through the city's industrial and commercial abatement program, which provides property tax savings. JFK needs modern air cargo facilities to compete against other airports on the East Coast, which have been taking away market share. As a result, both the state and city have recognized the need to grow and enhance air cargo movements within the JFK area by fostering new investment in air cargo related facilities. The project construction began in 2020 and was completed in August 2023, and the grant disbursement milestones have been met. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions.
Good. Thanks, Joe. Any questions for Joe? Hearing none. No comments from the public. I will move it. John seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Joe. We're going to move over to the Restore New York Communities Capital Grant, and we have Simone Bethune with us for an item.
Thank you, Chairman Law. The directors are being asked to approve a $2 million grant to the city of Gloversville in the Mohawk Valley region for renovations to a 27,000 square foot vacant building in the former Glove Theater. Built in 1914, the Glove Theater serves as a key historic building in downtown Gloversville. Originally designed as an 800-seat theater with the capacity to show an array of performances. The theater operated through the 1950s as one of the largest venues in Fulton and Montgomery counties until its closure in the 1970s. In January 2023, Gloversville applied under Round 7 of the Restore New York program to assist in the restoration of the Glove Theater as part of the city's 2022 Downtown Strategic Investment Plan. The city envisions the theater as a centerpiece of arts and culture in the area once fully renovated. Once it is complete, by July 2025, the building will become a mixed-use performance and cultural arts center containing theater and community event space on the first floor and office space on the second and third floors. Total project costs are expected to be approximately $4 million, with New York State Homes and Community Renewal providing a downstate revitalization initiative of $1.9 million to satisfy the equity requirement. I can take any questions.
All right. Thank you, Simone. Any questions? No? No comments from the public. I will move it. Hope seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. And we're going to continue with Simone and move over to at the direction of projects.
Thank you. For the first two items, the directors are being asked to approve two grants totaling $300,000 to the Association of Community Employment Programs for the Homeless, or ACEF, for programs and operating expenses. ACEF was founded in 1992 in Soho and Tribeca as a not-for-profit organization dedicated to helping citizens with barriers to employment and reentry into the workforce. The organization employs over 100 full-time individuals and offers street sweeping across New York City and transitional work experience projects for individuals so they may secure higher paying employment and become economically independent. At the direction of New York State Senator Jessica Ramos of the 13th District, two appropriations of $150,000 each were made available in fiscal year 2021-22 and fiscal year 2022-23 of the New York State budget. ACEF will use grant funds to hire 4 full-time workers to provide street sweeping services within Jackson Heights, Queens. Organization supervisors will oversee the workers to provide feedback on their performance, and the ACEF program staff will provide counseling and individualized support to meet the ongoing needs of these team members. The program will run from November 2023 through September 2024. The next item the directors are being asked to approve is an $11 million grant to the Universal Hip Hop Museum located in the Bronx for renovation to create a state-of-the-art cultural arts institution and the first museum in the world dedicated to the preservation and celebration of hip-hop history and culture. Founded in 2013 and established as an official not-for-profit organization, the Universal Hip Hop Museum is the only state-chartered educational museum focused on the preservation and celebration of hip-hop culture and music. The museum seeks to give multi-generational audiences worldwide access to an immersive cultural, educational, and entertainment experience that provide a comprehensive study of hip-hop's past, present, and future via digital media platforms, live events, and permanent exhibit installations. In fiscal year 2022-23, an $11 million appropriation was made available at the direction of the Executive Chamber to help the museum complete a $49 million project. Using the funds, the museum will renovate its existing building to fit out the 50,000 square foot space, which is slated to fully open in May 2025. Once complete, the museum will become a cultural landmark, drawing visitors nationally and internationally. An additional $3.5 million Regional Council Capital Fund grant is expected to be presented to the directors at a future date. Yeah, I can take any questions.
Good. Can't wait to check it out. What do you say, May 25?
Mhm.
Yeah, sounds fun. Question for you, or maybe since Amber's still here, on the first two items with the employment programs for the homeless, are those workforce training, or it seems like I'm surprised that ESD is handling the program for the homeless, and like, why isn't that being done by OTDA or one of the other agencies, or again, because this is at the direction of the legislature, they wanted us to handle it?
Right, that's right. So we're acting on behalf of the legislation to make the money available to this nonprofit that will then carry out the program.
Got it. But is it like, what's the real difference between employment training and workforce training?
So, I mean, I don't know that there's a distinct difference, but this is a program that I would see similar to some of the DOL programs that are just more just general employment preparedness, right? It's I don't know the details about the program. It's probably not like a high skilled like general literacy, computer literacy, just probably some general
Getting them ready
for employment.
Whereas our workforce training is more trying to help somebody advance the skills they already have.
Yes. Yeah.
Got it.
Without knowing much about the program. That would be my assessment,
That sounds correct.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you, Simone. Anybody else have any other questions for Simone? We have no comments from the public on these items, so I will move it. John seconds them. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motions for A, B, and C are approved. Thank you, Simone.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move over to New York Ventures, where we have two items, two presenters, two separate votes. We start with Ryoko Nozawa, our Senior Director of New York Ventures.
Good morning, Director. Today, I request the Directors to authorize an investment commitment from the State Small Business Credit Initiative, SSBCI Emerging and Regional Partner Program Fund. To provide a quick summary of the program, the Emerging and Regional Partner Program is a $102 million program using the federal SSBCI funding to provide equity investments for venture capital fund managers who invest in high-growth New York State companies. We invest in venture capital funds led by emerging managers or those focused on underserved regions of the state. The managers invest in SSBCI funds we deploy into high-growth startups alongside private funds. New York Ventures will match up to 25% of the total private funds raised and require at least one private dollar for every SSBCI dollar invested into a single company. New York Ventures staff conducts the due diligence evaluation of each application with several staff members involved. Applications will be reviewed until the funds are exhausted. This program was authorized by the directors on September 15, 2022. The directors approved the investment commitments to 4 fund managers at the previous ESD board meeting this year. Today, we propose investing in Company Ventures for up to $4 million. Company Ventures is a New York City-based venture capital firm that invests in early-stage, high-growth companies, largely in the digital healthcare, fintech, and enterprise software sectors. It has built a strong pipeline of venture investing opportunities, in part because of its co-working and community space located adjacent to Grand Central. Company Ventures is being led by 3 partners, and the team is raising and investing out of their second fund. Company Ventures was created with a mission to help build extraordinary startups in New York City and has made significant contributions to this ecosystem. In addition to its venture fund, it runs various programs to support startups, including an internship program with the University of New York that engages with students to give them hands-on experience with high-growth startups. It also partners with New York City Economic Development Corporation on some of its programs. The New York Ventures staff conducted due diligence on Company Ventures and concluding that its mission and work align with ESD and this program's goal to build and support the innovation ecosystem in New York City in New York State. The New York Ventures team recommends the directors to authorize an investment in Company Ventures for up to $4 million. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Ryoko. Either to Ryoko or to Hope, so the SSBCI, we get these monies from the feds, and we sometimes use them for loans, sometimes we use them for grants, and here we're using them for an investment.
Right.
Interesting.
Right.
All right, very good. Anybody have any questions? All right, no comments from the public on that item. I will move it. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Ryoko. Our second item is Heidi Nabla, our Senior Director of the Accelerator Fund Investments.
Good morning, directors. Today I'm requesting the directors authorize an investment of up to $3 million to Upstate Biotech Ventures Fund 1 under the State Small Business Credit Initiative. Upstate Biotech Ventures Fund 1 is a new venture capital fund managed by Excel Partners that will invest in biotech and life science founders who receive services from the Central New York Biotech Accelerator, which is located in Syracuse, New York at Upstate Medical University. Upstate Biotech Ventures Fund 1 will have two limited partners. First is Empire State Development, and the second is SUNY Upstate Medical University. Each partner will invest up to $3 million into the fund, which will invest into companies who receive services from the Central New York Biotech Accelerator and affiliated research foundation programs. The fund manager will be Excel Partners, who has successfully partnered with ESD in the past and has the experience required to operate the fund. These funds would be allocated as part of the SSBCI Community and Regional Partner Fund Program, which supports the development of accelerator funds across New York State and requires a private matching dollars of 1-to-1. This is the third investment from the Community and Regional Partnership Fund. The funds being requested are to invest in companies that are part of the accelerator program, not for operation of the accelerator. This new fund will help commercialize promising academic technology and advance young startup companies. The program and the funds will run and be deployed over 3 years. As part of the scoring and due diligence process, staff evaluated the company's accelerator plan and growth prospects. As a result of these analysis, we believe that the proposed fund will serve the interests of Central New York as well as steady founders. The potential opportunities offered warrants an investment, and the staff recommends approval of this investment award. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Heidi. I'll just ask if other folks are on the phone, if they could keep their phones on mute, as we seem to have some background noise.
Keep the phones on mute. We seem to have some background noise.
Is it me? Okay. Heard some background. Sounds like me.
Heard some background. Sounds like me.
Wow, I don't like my voice. Are we okay? We're good. All right. Heidi, I think you tripped me up. Any questions for Heidi? No? No comments from the public? I will move it. Hope seconds it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you. Okay, our last item on the agenda are all our administrative actions. Doug Janice, our senior counsel, is going to present them to us, and we'll go through all 9 of them, and then we'll be able to take one vote for all of them. So I'll hand it over to you, Doug.
Thank you, Chairman Law, and good morning, directors. As a reminder, as the chairman just indicated, in order to help streamline our board meetings, we previously implemented an oral summary presentation process in connection with the administrative action section of our agenda. You receive a full set of written descriptive materials for each of these items in your board materials, as you have for this meeting. But rather than having individual oral presentations made on each, I will provide a brief summary of the items. At the conclusion of the summary, we will then entertain any comments or questions the directors may have. The 10 administrative action items submitted for your consideration today, and for which you have received written materials, are summarized as follows. Item 5A is relative to authorization to enter into a contract for Western New York Planning and Support Services. Directors are asked to authorize a contract of up to $332,748 with the newly formed Center for Regional Strategies, a not-for-profit organization formed by the former leadership of the University at Buffalo Regional Institute. UBRI has supported ESD with planning services for over a decade. However, recently, the UBRI leadership and the university decided cooperatively to separate, resulting in the formation of the independent Center for Regional Strategies, which is largely the same technical staff as UBRI. Under this contract, CRS would continue to provide ESD planning support for 1 year associated with Western New York programs, during which time ESD will issue a request for proposals for these services for the future. Items 5B and 5C are relative to amendments for legal service contracts in connection with the disposition and redevelopment of a portion of the Bronx Psychiatric Center. The project was announced as a development of up to 1.9 million square feet of office, academic, and medical center space to be constructed by Simone Development Companies. Item 5B is an amendment to the contract for environmental legal services with Sive, Paget, and Reisel PC, which will increase the contract amount by $150,000 and extend the term to December of 2024. Item 5C is an amendment to the contract for real estate legal services with Bryant Rubino LLP, which will increase the contract amount by $200,000 and extend the term through September of 2024. The payments for both of these amendments will continue to be paid through an imprest account funded by the project developer. Item 5D is relative to the authorization to amend the contract with STV Inc. to continue to provide environmental consulting services in connection with the environmental impact statement for the Kingsborough Psychiatric Center mixed-use project. Directors are requested to authorize a contract amendment with STV Inc. to increase the contract amount by $303,078 for a total contract amount not to exceed $1,739,818, and to extend the contract term by 12 months for a total term of 36 months. Proposed contract amendment is needed for STV to continue to prepare necessary documentation and assist ESD with completing the final steps of the environmental review process. This contract will continue to be funded entirely from an imprest account funded by the developer. Our remaining items 5E through 5J, are relative to authorizations to enter into 6 contracts relating to the market order program. As you may recall, in the 2016-2017 New York State budget, the fiscal and legal activities associated with the market order program were transferred from the Department of Agriculture and Markets to ESD. In connection with that responsibility, the directors are being asked to approve 6 separate contracts related to the program, with the intended goals of promoting and supporting the dairy industry and increasing dairy consumption. Brief summary of the details of the contracts, which are fully enumerated in your materials, are as follows. Item 5E is a $10,500,000 contract with the American Dairy Association Northeast, intended to promote dairy products and dairy farming practices and to increase consumption by youth and young adults. Item 5F is a $1,650,000 contract with New England Dairy Promotion Board, intended to increase trust in dairy among target audiences, support increased dairy sales in schools and through retail, and support national programs influencing increased consumption of milk and dairy products. Item 5G is a $754,020 contract with New York Agriculture in the Classroom, which is part of the Cornell Cooperative Extension, intended to provide lesson-based materials and professional learning opportunities to educators, develop and facilitate classroom programs, and provide professional development workshops as well as on-farm experiences. Item 5H is an $800,000 contract with New York Animal Agricultural Coalition, intended to support Dairy Cow Birthing Center and the Regional Dairy Center located on the New York State Fairgrounds, and also support Moving Across New York, which is a mobile dairy experience trailer. Item 5I is a $660,000 contract with Milk for Health on the Niagara Frontier, intended to enhance marketing and promotion of the dairy industry through online streaming, social media, television, and a variety of live events in and around the Niagara Frontier. And finally, item 5J is a $1,716,050 contract with Cornell University, intended to support various research projects related to dairy safety, quality, and shelf life. I will now turn it back over to our chair, who will call for any questions or comments you may have on any of these items before calling for a vote. We also have item-related staff on the line today to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug, for a thorough presentation of these items. Does anybody have any questions for Doug? Hearing none. We've received no comments from the public on any of these items, so I will move this. John seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. That's it for our official agenda. Is there any further business that any board member wishes to raise at this time? Hearing none. Our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, December 21st. And until then, like Hope said, I want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving to you and your families, safe and healthy, and another very well done professional job today, folks. So thank you. All right, we're adjourned.